Hi, my name is Rick and I'm one of the T-Equipment product specialists. Today we're going to talk about breadboards and prototyping. As you can see on the table here, we have quite a variety of products. The basic uses for a prototyping board or a breadboard would be to construct your circuit, do your diagnostics before you actually solder it into a board. This way you could change your circuit as needed before the final process of assembly. Breadboards would be used by hobbyists, budding engineers, or full circuit designers. Okay, the key features of the breadboard would be your tie points, which you can see here, and your two bus strips. Well, in this case, on this particular board, it's two bus strips. The bus strips are generally used for power or ground. You'll find that no matter which breadboard you use, they all have bus strips set up for this purpose. Some have more than others, depending on the complexity of the circuit. Some cases get into both analog and digital signals, so you would have multiple strips with different power sources. As you can see on this circuit board, I put together a few components here. These are your average size 14-pin dip package ICs, a small square single-turn potentiometer, your standard multi-turn, and just a few capacitors and transistors, just to give you some scale as to the size of your average breadboard. One of the key features of the breadboards are the way the tie points are configured. As you can see here, these strips go clean across the entire board. On this IC, you will see that it shares the same row with the capacitor. So if we were to apply power to this particular row on the breadboard, it would power both this IC pin and that capacitor at the same time because they are tied together in that same row. And this applies to all breadboards. As we move along to the other boards, as you can see, they vary in size. This has actually 3 breadboards, and they are both bordered by 4 different bus strips. In addition, once you get into plate mounted boards, you have the optional binding posts for making all your power connections and ground. And the larger they go, obviously the more binding posts you have to vary your voltages depending on the complexity of the circuit. Now let's move into the powered breadboards. These two are featured by Global Specialties. This particular board has plus and minus 15 volts at about a ½ amp rating, along with a plus 5 volt at a 1 amp rating and a ground, and gives you approximately 16 to 1800 individual tie points to make your connections. Again, bus strips border each breadboard for the simple use of making all your connections of power, ground, and other signals that you may want to use on this section. Now we get to the ultimate prototyping station. This is put out by Global Specialties. This trainer has been around in one version or another for probably about 30 years. What we have here is your breadboarding area, which consists of over 3,000 tie points, all complete with bus strips as discussed on the other boards. In addition, it has onboard power supplies of 1 to 15 volt, both positive and negative, a 5 volt fixed ground connection. On this side we have 12.6 volt AC center tap. If you move farther off to the left, this is an onboard frequency generator that runs out to about 100 kilohertz. You have sine, sawtooth, and also a square wave output. I believe the maximum is 18 to 20 volts DC. If we move down on the side, we have 2 momentary push button switches debounced. We have a BNC connection which would tie into this tie point. We have an array of 8 logic switches, a 10K and a 1K potentiometer, 2 SPDT slide switches, a speaker, and a section where you could tie into a BCD 7-segment display. Here we have a logic pulsar and probe together, and up top we have the 8 logic monitors for monitoring your digital circuitry. So this has been the flagship trainer for as long as I can remember. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to call myself or any other of our application specialists. The number is on your screen.